Shouldn't we as Christians be the light for others? And what I mean by that, shouldn't we live a life so godly that the people around us can see God through us and the way we live, the things we do, and the way we speak? Now in Matthew 5:14 to 15 it says, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor does anyone light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house." You know, can you hide a city sitting on top of a hill? No, no. I mean, if you're driving overnight, you can see it for miles. I used to drive coming across 40 uh, east to west coast and would come up over the hill in New Mexico, and you could see the entire city of Albuquerque at night. The entire city, the way it was lit up. Always just thought that was beautiful. But you can't hide it. You can't hide it whatsoever. If we live for Jesus, we'll glow like that. People will be able to see us living like that, and the people that see us, they'll kind of be drawn to us because of that, that we shine a light so bright that they just want to step into it and to live as we do. Not everybody. Some people are, just to put it bluntly, they're happy living in their sin because that's the way they want to live. And Jesus tells us that those people, we just have to shake the dust off our sandals because you can't save them. We can't save everybody. We can save as many as we can. And what I mean by we save, we bring them to Christ. Christ is the one that actually does the saving. We just bring them to Christ. So forgive me, I don't mean to make that sound like we're the ones saving them, because we're not. But, it is through us that other people come and surrender their lives to Christ. So, there's ways that we hide our light, or that's about the best way I can put it. And the ways that we hide our light, one, we're quiet when we should be speaking up. There are several examples of that. Anyways, we'll get into that in just a minute. Two, going along with the crowd. We all know what that is and what that entails. Three, denying God's truth. Four, letting sin dim our light and not explaining our light to others. And lastly, ignoring the needs of others around us. Now, we should be a beacon of truth for the people around us. Don't be shutting off your light. Don't be trying to hide what, the light that God put inside each of us. You're a Christian, let it show. Yeah, we may end up persecuted and so on, but our reward is great. I promise you. At one time, we ourselves was in the darkness before we came to Jesus Christ. We lived in the darkness too. And somebody had to bring us, or we heard somebody's message about Christ. So, in Ephesians 5:8 it says, "For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Live as children of the light." And that's what I meant by being a beacon. We have to be a beacon to all the people out there that hasn't come to Christ yet. And, as people who have the light from the Lord, our actions will reflect our faith. And Jesus stressed this truth in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew 5:15 and 16. Our past before we came to Christ, it was probably dark, full of despair, shame, probably even self-doubt. I'm sure there was a lot of things, probably a lot more than just those few things. Satan would love nothing better than to lead us back into that darkness and to lure us away from God. That's his purpose here. That's his whole purpose. And, we've got to reject him. We have to reject him with everything in us. And most of that is by willingly and purposely rejecting him and serving our Father in heaven. And in doing this, our light will shine. And it'll shine bright enough for the entire world to see. They'll be able to see God and Jesus Christ through us, the way that we live, the way that we speak, the way that you carry yourselves. Because as Christians, we're told, do not be afraid. So we kind of walk with our head held high, just the way that we should. Because there is nothing on earth that we should be afraid of. It tells us, why be afraid of man? You need to be afraid of the one that can kill the body and the soul in hell. So, and Ephesians 5:11 through 15, it says, have nothing to do with fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. It is shameful to even mention what disobedient do in secret, but everything exposed by the light becomes visible, and everything that is illuminated becomes light. This is why it is said, wake up, sleeper, rise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. Be careful then how you live, not unwise, but as wise. So, it's important for us as children to live in the light and to avoid the darkness. And what I mean by that is any pleasures on this earth that would be considered sin, we have to avoid those things. The biggest ones that I keep seeing repeated in the Bible is your sexual immorality and boastfulness, and it's got a whole list of them. If you do your due diligence and study, you'll know exactly which sins to stay away from, or what activities to stay away from, because we don't need to get drawn into them. It's and we need to be speaking up against the sin that we see, because God tells us that our silence could be taken as approval for what somebody's doing. And we can't be that way. We can't approve of a sinful act, a sinful nature, where we as Christians just can't do it. Not if you want the reward that God has promised for you. So, we live in one of the biggest crossroads of culture and religion. So, we're urged to be awake to these things and realize the dangers of these times. One could easily find themselves separated from God. So, let me ask you, do you study God's Word? Or do you go to a worship service more out of repetition, or just to say, all right, well, I've put my time in for God for the week, I got the rest of the week clear? If that's why you're coming to worship service, if that's why you're studying your Word, then you need to re-examine self. Because God is a daily choice. So we need to be turning our lives completely and permanently over to the Father in heaven to reap the rewards. As always, stay prayed up, and may God bless you.